Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, viewers. Welcome once more to Requiem for London. Our scene is set tonight as one Nora Hillingham returns back to her lab. It has been, well, quite the eventful night for her, it seems, and returning with a lot of emotions frustration, perhaps, anger, fear. Who knows what goes through the minds of a venturer, especially one of her caliber, at the dark hours of the night. But as she returns, and Jedrej still recuperating from his ideal, making progress every single day, she, well, let's find out, shall we? What does Nora Hillingham do as she returns to her lab?
Nora returns to her lab, checks her samples, checks any results that would have come up on many screens that she's hooked up, and many of the sensors that are attached to certain samples. For the sake of the scene, because I know what the science rolls and stuff are, I've got those results, she'll just smile happily and then just turn the monitors off one after the other, as in, not so much that she knows that it might be looked at, but it's just a gesture, as it were, of I'm turning these off. And as she turns them off, the light goes off, and she'll just head over to Jedrej, still in the corner, with his little pillow, and just go onto the balls of her feet and go over to him and go, "How are you feeling, sweet pea?"
As he will just sort of take a tissue and just sort of blow his nose real fast and throw it into the little bin that's right next, maybe within arm's reach. It's now sort of almost overflowing with these little mucus covered tissues. He'll just look at you and he'll just nod his head and say, better.
Uh-huh. I was hoping the contrary. To study, one must first understand. But I suppose I'm happy that you're feeling
As he will just sort of get the sort of like kicked puppy look again for a minute and then just sort of look away and not say anything more.
better. No, just ruffles the top of his head. Don't worry, sweet pea.
He does flinch a little at that.
Don't worry, sweet pea. I'll bring you some porridge when I come home, hey? And she'll wink at him.
As he'll calm down a lot at that, and then he will go, yeah, thanks.
Children these days are so ungrateful. Nora turns away. But before doing so, actually takes a mucus-covered hanky and then adds that to the samples to see whether his body is actually fighting it off, to compare the samples of the first sample that she took when he was first freshly infected and brought back to her.
Indeed. And no need to roll medicine on this one because the results are the same as the first. It seems that, yes, indeed, his bodily functions are trying to fight off whatever, like, virus has infected him. It seems as though, however, that the virus is able to accelerate itself and draw strength from the vitae coursing through his veins as much as his body is. It is a very interesting adaptation. It's almost as though the virus itself has been ghouled.
I have an idea of what's going on, but I'm not going to say it in scene just yet because it might be considered metagaming because I don't have that level of medicine. But see, I think I know what's going on. I will discuss that with you later. But Nora will just raise an eyebrow, most interested, and look back over her shoulder at Jedrej and realize that she's just told a nasty, nasty lie to the little kid that he's not going to get his porridge at all. Instead, he's going to get some McDonald's because she doesn't want him to get any worse at this point. which is good but bad.
Indeed, as you know very well, perhaps the echo of a memory, or perhaps a very real memory that you have these past following months of what happens when one is taken off the red stuff.
So instead, I think Nora might just get him a glass of water. Just something simple. That's something that would be lying around. Even like sterilized water or something that she'd be using for the sample. She just give him a bottle and said, "There you go. Rehydrate. You'll be fine." Do you think go for another blood sample?
Yes, he'll actually sit up and nod his head, and he'll look at you, and there's a bit of a determined look in his eyes, and he says, I'm ready to talk. Also,
At that, Nora will actually just put the bottle of water in his hands, and because he's sitting on a chair, she's going to do the whole, okay, I'm smaller than you, but then crouch down on the balls of her feet and just put her hands on his hands, which she will then put the both sets of hands on his knees and look up at him and go, all right, sweet pea, whenever you're ready.
as he will take a deep breath, and he'll go, all right, well, it all started out with the job of scoping out that old lady you wanted me to.
Yes.
I did what you wanted. I was able to blend in relatively well. Nobody knew who I was. As he coughs up again, you can like tell that
Hands a
like it's all
tissue.
the normal signs of like a flu virus almost,
Hmm.
despite his condition. And he'll just continue. He'll say, and everything was fine for a while. She just basically sat there. That doctor would come in a few times, talk to her for a while. Sometimes
What would they,
he'd
what would
come
they
in
talk
with
about,
pamphlets.
sweet pea?
Like wasn't able to tell. Getting any closer would have drawn my attention. I just thought the best thing to do would be to just record everyone who came to visit. It was mostly just the doctors, but then something weird happened on like the third day.
The third day.
Yeah,
Interesting.
it well, um, well, there was sort of a scene that happened like right outside. These visitors came by. Um, one of them was wow, really, really, really beautiful. Like I mean, like this is 10 out of 10. And the other one, I oh gosh, he wore a top hat and like some really frilly thing. I thought it was like a Halloween costume or something. And they got into something happened with that doctor who kept visiting her, and the nurse that was well that was looking after her ended up getting fired. Again, I just stayed in the background, staying out of sight, just sort of recording everything, just like what you asked. But then, like when I was about to leave, that was when the really weird thing happened. The nurse returned, but he was acting like, oh gosh, it was really weird.
Like what, sweet pea? Don't worry
As
if
he
it sounds silly, just tell me.
he went into the old lady's room after he was fired and sent home. Like he came back, and when he was in there, he I'm not sure what he did to her, but he like touched her. Something happened, but she was suddenly able to speak again, and I
What?
saw them talking. Yeah, she was able to talk and everything. It was the strangest thing, and then they kissed, like full on French kiss.
You're
And then
fucking kidding me.
no, then he just wheeled her out of there, and it was the strangest thing. It was like nobody didn't ask questions or anything. It was like magic, the stuff that you can do. And then after that, like the doctor came by, and I think it was at that point that they realized I had been spying. So I went to go leave, and then that's when I guess the fever kicked on for the first time, and it gets a little blurry after that, but the next thing I know, like I'm being pulled out of my car by these freaks wearing robes and like those weird little bird masks that like plague doctors wore from like the history books. And then those fuckers lock me up and throw me into a basement, and then it just goes in and out from there. But oh god, the nightmares I had. And yes, it's he delivers that. It's so strange it has to be true. There is no hint of like misdirection or anything in Jedrish's voice as he recounts the story.
Nora takes a moment to steady herself before lashing out in anger, as she is prone to do at times. Um, but I think more than anything, she still feels very guilty for, at a knee-jerk reaction, just sewing this dude's eyes shut. Because what the fuck was that all about? What the, no. So she just takes a breath, quite audibly, quite a human breath, and then just sort of runs a hand along his hairline and goes, "It's all right, sweet pea. You've done very well. I'm going to try and help you as much as I can. Unfortunately, what you want is only going to make you worse right now. So you're just going to have to hang in there for me. Okay?"
As he'll start to sort of shake again, but without the blood,
Shh,
but I'll
shh.
die. The cancer will.
Shh. I'll find a way. I'll find a way. Don't worry, sweet pea.
As he'll calm and he'll just nod his head and he'll just start sort of rocking back and forth again because again it's like he's a smoker. He's tried to quit before, but he knows this is going to be a whole new level of pain that he's about to be into, and you sort of know it too because you felt it yourself.
Yeah. For a moment, Nora actually wonders whether her drug will help him. But then she remembers
Indeed.
she's only got one dose left for the fucking week. I'm going to make a fate dice roll to see whether she actually gives enough of a shit about her ghoul to try and get him out of this. Flanks aren't helping me. No, she doesn't.
Mm.
Her hand just goes to her pocket and she feels that one last vial that she has and will grasp it through the fabric, knowing that this would ease Jedrej's pain and probably not have the same effect of actually feeding him Vita. So who knows how the virus would react? It might even be, just enough of a placebo to tide him over without the strain, without the stress, but not actually make the virus worse. It could do the opposite, regardless of the fact. When she's clutching that vial through the fabric, all she can think about is mine. That's mine. That's mine. You're not giving that to him. And instead, we'll just turn and scratch the back of her head. Sweetheart, I'll think of something. I'm sure I will. For now, you're just going to have to be strong for me. Can you do that?
As he'll nod his head and he'll look down, and you get the feeling that there's something else that he wants to say, but he's been hesitant. Like even after you've assured him, like to be honest, be truthful. Like this is the one thing that he himself is not exactly sure if he wants to say.
You don't do that to Nora. Sorry, you don't. She'll again sit down, but this time rather than grab his hand, she'll put her hands on his thighs quite forcefully and just make sure that there's enough pressure to let him know that she's serious. Now, is that all that you want to tell me?
There was one nightmare in particular that I remember. It seemed so real, but I was so sick, so like it was worse now. It's the most sick I've felt in my entire life, even more so than the cancer. But I I saw I don't know. It was well, I had these dreams about those freaks with the plague doctor mask, like chanting, talking. I mean, it was dark mostly. Sometimes there was candles, sometimes there wasn't. Sometimes could have swore there was other people next to me, but one time in particular, there was something else with them. It was, and he'll actually start to shake, and he'll just say, "It was."
Shh. Just say it. Just say it, Sweet Pea.
It looked like a vulture, but it was like a human, like this corpse-like bird, and it had hollow eyes, and its mouth didn't move, but just flies came out of it, and it spoke. It spoke to me. It asked me questions.
What did it
Oh God,
ask?
am I going insane? It asked me
No. Speak to me. What did it ask?
who I was, who you were, what
What
I
did you tell it?
was. Oh gosh, I can't remember. I was so
You
sick.
can. Come on, you can remember. What did
I,
you tell it?
I, and actually roll me a chance dice this time. Plus good, negative,
Yeah.
bad.
We'll roll these mofos till we get an answer.
Oh no!
No.
As he'll just sort of put his hands in his hands and say, I told it everything. I, I, I was in such pain. I was so scared. It was like a demon from hell. I didn't know where I was. I thought I was going to die. I thought it was going to eat me alive. And this is probably not going to be good for Jedrej audience. Chance
Oh,
dices, ladies and
darling.
gentlemen.
Oh, darling, don't worry. I'm sure I would have done the same were I in your shoes. In Nora's mind, I never betrayed that fucker. I don't remember him, but I never betrayed him. Otherwise, I'd be dead. Can you give me a location? Somewhere where I can go to see this vulture? Or was
as
it all
he
just a dream?
as he just shakes his head and goes, I don't know, but I was just kept in some sort of basement. I mean, ask the guy who got me out of there.
Got you out of there?
Yeah,
Did he
whatever
rescue
his
you?
name was. Oh gosh, I don't remember. I just remember at one point they took me down. They put, I don't know. The next thing I knew, I was in a car, and there was that guy who was like you. And then we met at the diner.
Sweeping, no
He's,
one's
he's
like
talking
me.
about
You
Paul
know that.
Masters.
Yeah, I know. Nora just collects her thoughts. Actually, physically grabs at her head and goes, You've done your best. I understand that. 49.5 years. This is just the beginning. Isn't it exciting? Tell me, Jedrej, what's worse, the sickness or the longing for the red stuff?
As he actually thinks about it, and he says, right now, definitely the longing.
Then I suppose you're just going to have to wait patiently until I get back. Gets up, walks away. Fuck you, enjoy your torment.
As he just looks down, as he knows he's been a bad boy. But I guess he's also relieved that you didn't kill him instantly after revealing that, so. But he's not out of
I
the
know
woods
he's
yet,
not
not
going
for a
anywhere.
long shot. But that leaves Nora with a interesting predicament. What the fuck just happened? Who the fuck is this Dr. Green?
It not only leaves her with that interesting predicament, but it also leaves her with that acrid taste in the back of her throat of, this is my first actual ghoul that I've actually put any investment in that wasn't just a kamikaze soldier, and he knows shit about me that could potentially be the end of me. I have not trained him well enough. I have not made sure that he can withstand torture well enough. I have not brain fucked him enough for him to be a valuable servant to me. And in the back of her mind, knowing what she needs to do to him to actually make him as she needs him to be sickens her. And it would almost be more humane to just kill the fucker. But by the same token, he's still infected. He's still got something inside of himself that interests her, and that she's going to keep around. And so long as he stays the fuck put, he's fine. As soon as that stops, all bets are off.
Hmm. Quite bleak indeed for poor Jedrej. But nonetheless, what will Nora Hillingham do now? She does
Nora
still
Hillingham will
have
go.
Paul Masters' number, though.
She's not going to call that mofo. Hmm, not straight away. She goes outside for a start. Needs just need to think. Goes outside the little lab that she's got set up, away from everyone else, unbeknownst to the Autodocul, even one would hope, but I'm sure the Invectors know where it is, they know where everything is. So goes outside and just looks at the stars for a good long time, and will actually light a cigarillo, or black rolled tobacco cigarillo, the smoke itself coiling upwards ever upwards. And for a moment she muses, just holding this lit cigarette between her fingers, just looking at it, looking at the smoke that's trailing off, musing and thinking how smoking itself is an apt comparison to human life, as it were, inhaling the pure via corruption to exhale only the pollution, the vile, the bitterness. Ah, it is how it is. She then takes her phone out, looks at the phone number of Mr. Masters, and actually gives him a call.
After a few minutes, you will get a response. This is Paul Masters. How may I help you? Or Paul Masters of Slaughter and Maze. How may I help you?
I'm looking for a limited edition copy of Witcher 3. I don't know if you can help me.
Yes, there'll be a pause on the other end of the line and say, Nora Hillingham, I presume.
Yours truly.
I thought I recognized that voice of yours. I take it you are not just calling me to indulge your fondness of wit.
I wouldn't put money on it, to be honest with you.
Well, unfortunately, I do not have the time to indulge such frivolous exercises. So, if you do not need anything, please refrain from calling this number.
I'm afraid that would require you to change it quite quickly. I simply wish to make an inquiry, Mr. Masters. I've recently had the pleasure of meeting one Mr. May, wondering if there's any link to the old slaughter May, or whether that's just simply chance.
As there's just like dead silence on the other end of the line for a good 10 seconds before he says, I was unaware that you had met Michael May. Were you a guest of his?
Oh,
Or
we're
was this?
family.
I guessed as much. Then in that case, you sought his blessing to attend to the Royal Elysium, then.
Cons- Make that link at your own peril, Mr. Masters.
Again, just silence, a bit less, as you'll say. Well, it seems you are in good standing, and yes, Mr. Mays is one of the owners of Slaughter and Mays. We are a very respectable
Excellent.
company with a lot of resources backing us.
Yes, yes, you are God's own asshole shining the sun out upon the world. I understand. However, the question that I have initially is, I have a gift for Mr. May, and would he prefer it to be delivered to the company or to his place of pleasure? Do you know?
He'll say any gifts on behalf of Mr. Mays will be sent to a private address where it will be brought to him at his leisure by his, shall we say, retainers. I'll give you the
Excellent.
number.
I'm sure that he has many of those. But if you could give me the address or pass it on to my people, I'll make sure that my people will deal with your people and it could be arranged.
So say very well, and he will um, sort of be gone for the phone for a couple minutes, and we'll say, "It has been done. Here is the address. I must warn you, though, if this gift is found displeasing or unacceptable, you will
I
be
will
hearing back from
lose.
that."
Yes, yes, yes. I understand how it works. But I appreciate the warning, Mr. Masters. I truly do. It makes me almost feel that you care about me.
If you are done indulging your wit, are we done then?
How are we doing with Mr. Green?
Yes, he'll say, well, that's entirely up to you. The last time we talked, you said you wanted nothing more to do with Slaughter and May's assistance. Said that you would deal with it yourself. Am I wrong? The offer is still on the table, though, if you have reconsidered. Although his demands must be taken into consideration before a second draft is written.
I'll be interested to know if his demands. Is there any chance that I could speak to him personally?
That would be highly unrecommended.
A word to the wise, perhaps. I've never been known for my wisdom, Mr. Masters.
Either way, it is of no importance to me so long as you uphold the masquerade to the best of your abilities. He is a unique case, but make sure that no more information is given. I will contact him and arrange a neutral meeting ground, one owned by Slaughter and Mays.
Then it is hardly neutral. But please indulge, as I have simply indulged just now. Hanging up.
Indeed. And so, do you head back inside of the laboratory?
I do. I'm not done there.
Indeed. What do you do?
Hey, sir.
Oh, what do you do when you return to the laboratory?
With heavy heart almost, Nora stalks up to Jedrej.
He appears to be laying down with the covers pulled up over him as he's trying to get some sleep, perhaps trying to sleep off the withdrawals that he knows will come.
She looks down at him and just gently. Oh, her humanity, it burns. She knows that horrible feeling, that withdrawal. She feels it every second of her life and on life and beyond. But if the samples aren't changing, then there's no more use for him. They've shared a lot together, and she takes a moment, a good long moment, to really think about that. They've posed as artist assistant, PA. They've posed as lovers at operas and ballets and balls. They've even had amazing sex together in hotel rooms. But he knows too much about her, and she has to weigh that up quite quite strongly. She needs to push away the emotion she has towards this ghoul, towards this servant, towards a companion at the end of it all, a companion she's had for a long time, a companion that's never really asked why it is she doesn't age, a companion that has never really asked why he never sees her during the day. And in the end, was he really just a fuck buddy? Or did she actually care? Does she still have the capacity to care? Taking a scalpel with her quietly as she goes to kneel by his head and put his head on her lap, just to stroke his hair comfortingly. She almost wells up. 50 years is a long time. She's not used to this. Life is cheap, yes, she understands it. Death is an everyday thing, but when you're killing a stranger, who gives a shit? When you're killing somebody who's been with you for that long, who are you serving? Who are you really serving? Yourself, the darkness within yourself. He's hurting, but who are you freeing? Are you freeing him from pain? Or are you freeing yourself from seeing him in pain? Nora leans down, gives him a kiss on the cheek. And then stabs a scalpel straight into his jugular vein, twists it to the point of no return, and lets him bleed
And
out.
what is your strength plus weaponry? You know what? We'll say strength plus medicine in this moment.
Strength plus medicine is 5.
Ah, then that can be an auto success. It is a effective coup de grace. There's a momentary sputter. Blood comes up through his mouth, and he looks at you, and the blood burns. It tries to heal the wound. It tries to close it, and it looks at you, and it's betrayal in his eyes. But then he's, well, not really looking at anything at all anymore. In fact, he's really not anything at all anymore. The blood just pools onto the table, staining the blankets, dripping down onto the little trash can filled with little knotted up rags, and Jedrej is no more.
Still cradling the head, which now is bent at an odd angle, seeing as there's no sinews or muscles to hold it in place. Nora begins to just hum a song that she sang to him not long ago, and just whispers, "Go back to sleep, just go back to sleep." And she doesn't know in her mind whether she's whispering it to the body dead in front of her, or whether she's telling it to herself. But after a long, long while, she gets up, takes off her shirt, and actually puts it over his head as a sign of respect. And then cleans up, alcohol rubs and everything, with all the perfumes of Arabia, not wash clean this little hand. But you're a liability, Jedrej. I'm sorry. I played my cards and you played yours, and unfortunately they were not favorable hands. Rest in peace, old friend. Hope you don't hold a grudge. Good luck to you if you do. And unless you'd like to have me make a humanity roll for that, Nora is going to go back to her almost jovial demeanor at this point.
Yes, I believe normally would wait until after the scene, but I would say at this point, roll humanity. This is why I had the PDF up, just in case something like this happened. Not this specifically, mind you, but always best to come
Oh, there'll
prepared.
be more chances.
Let me see what this will be for humanity. Do. Because you just killed your ghoul.
Yep. Only one touchstone.
That's right. Hold on.
So I believe I'm rolling 4 dice.
Um, uh, well, no, it's each of the humanity breaking points has a number of dice associated with them. I'm looking at it right now.
Ah.
It's going to be humanity 2, 1 dice, plus your touchstone, which is 2. So 3 dice.
Here we go. Fuck me. No.
You can choose to take a bane if you want. You do not lose humanity, and you forever still yourself against this, like, covering up loose ends through murder, but you gain a bane, and from then on out, you will take a -1 to all other humanity rolls.
I'll take the humanity loss.
Very
I
well.
deserve it for being an asshole.
You are now completely detached then at this point. You still have your touchstones, but you're just finding it so difficult to care. It's almost as though deep down inside you freed yourself. You freed yourself one step more towards fully being free of all of that which is holding you back. Jedrej was a loose end. You did the right thing. You are justified in your actions. So you can go back to your jovial nature if you want.
And indeed,
Although,
Nora does.
not for long, though, as you, again, let's describe exactly what you do right afterwards. It's been, like, I'd say about probably 10 minutes since your phone call with Paul Masters.
Nora will probably just look at herself, look at the mess she's gotten on herself, almost like a cat in denial of the absolute filth she's gotten on her fur, and clean up all the perfumes of a rainbow, as it were, and then just sort of look over her shoulder and go, oh God, who's going to clean that up now? I need a new one.
If right on cue, you'll suddenly hear this. Uh, 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 and it's in Jedrish's voice as the corpse begins to slowly rise, the head, the sinew not able to pull itself together, but oozing from the cut you made is this black bile oozing up, sort of almost pus comes out of or this corpse that was once Jedrish, but eyes, just black, solid eyes, look out through it as what was a corpse slowly shambles up from that thing, and with his sort of disjointed head just croaks out, "The dead envy the living, the sickness envies the blood." Ha, ha. The doctor will see you, Nora. He is waiting at the estate. And with that, the mouth will just sort of go back into almost a grotesquely, almost cartoonish long degree, and hundreds of flies will just billow out, and they will just swarm right past you. Your hairs blow, they're all over your face, this buzzing, this putrid smell, this horrible thing. But as soon as it was there, it's gone. The mouth of Jedrej returns to normal, and the corpse just falls limp to the ground, now covered in boils and all manner of like symptoms of sicknesses.
Sample that shit.
Hmm. Immediately, you grab a syringe and go down, and you just withdraw like the clotted blood from the corpse.
And boils and everything and pus and mucus and we can still sample if there's one. Just sample everything. But those go into a cryo chamber. I'll deal with them later. Right now, the estate, motherfucker. Fully decapitate what's left of Jedrej
Hmm.
with gloves on.
Of course, cleanliness, after all.
Next to godliness. And then pop that shit into a carry bag and then take my car and go to the estate because there's only one estate that he could be talking about.
Hmm. Indeed. And as you go, like every once in a while, out of the rearview mirror, you could swear you see like flies buzzing around the car, but every single time you look, there's nothing there. And as you pull into the driveway, you'll see that there's already a car there, and that the gates are open, and that there's a light on coming from the dining hall.
Enter at the door.
There will be no response, but when you check, you will find that the door is unlocked.
And so I shall unhinge it, but then open it with my foot.
Hmm. Indeed. There's a bit of a creaky noise again. The estate has not been really all that much upkept. But as you walk in, please describe the entryway, because this is Hillingham Estate. This is where, well, you grew up. This belonged to your grandfather. This was supposed to be yours, your dowry, your inheritance. And as
Hillingham
you step
Estate
into the
is
halls, yes, what do you see?
Hillingham Estate is interesting. It's dated. It's exceptionally dated. It's almost of a Germanic more than an English style. It's got wallpaper that is, by modern standards, quite garish, but once upon a time it would have been tasteful, especially considering that the decor that it is adorned with, the wallpaper itself being that of a silhouetted forest with very dark, almost pea greens and forest greens. And as one looks up from about the head height upwards, you have trophies of stags adorning the walls, each with a brass plaque and a date associated with the when and where the stag was taken. As one goes in further, there's scuffs and scratches along the sides of the wall, marks of age, and the dining room itself has a dark and almost smoky type glass attached, windows attached to sliding doors which open up to a dining room. The dining room itself large and spacious with timber fixtures and furnishings, dark, rich red carpet down the very bottom, and up the very top a chandelier of antlers.
Indeed. And as you walk through this house, this place, the memories that come back to you, like even though they're a bit distant, even though you're more concerned with the mission at hand, this fucking Dr. Green, whatever the hell he is, whatever the hell he's working for, working with, you don't know. But nonetheless, it reminds you that this place, well, you're not sure if it's important to you now. You're not sure of a lot of things. Perhaps it's the first time you realize how little you care. Like the anger at driving past and seeing the modifications that were made filled you with such ire. Now you just. It's not like you don't entirely care. This is still the place you grew up. This is your home. But does it really matter all that much? I mean, you're an immortal vampire, for God's sake.
Indeed. And it's something that she actually quite honestly said to Michael May. That is, that no matter how long our lifespan, no one can own the earth. So to seek it is foolishness. Moment of clarity, perhaps, but she storms into where the light is.
And as you do, you'll enter the old dining hall, and it is, again, it's large, or at least it seemed larger when you were young. Now seems a lot more smaller. The room is not the grand banquet hall, more like just a medium-sized room in a large house, lined with a long table, a fireplace at one end, which is lit, by the way, and sitting right before it is Dr. Green, not dressed in his normal doctor's wear. He's wearing a suit. He's got an interesting pin on. He's just sitting there with his hands folded, eyes closed. He'll open them as soon as you enter the ring. There's a servant standing next to him, a maid by the looks of that, and right to the side appears to be, well, you would recognize it anywhere as a painting with a drape over it.
For a moment, I dare say, their eyes meet, and
They
nothing
do.
is said. The standoff between, perhaps one can assume, two predators meeting each other in a forest, a glade.
Hmm. And
Nora
nonetheless
reaches into her
strange,
bag.
there is no
Nonetheless
predatory
strange.
aura on Dr. Green.
Ah,
For all sense of the word, he is human. But the look he gives you, the smile he gives you, the sinister smile he gives you, there is a predator's smile if you ever saw one.
Nora takes Jedrej's head out of her handbag by the hair, puts it down in front of the opposite end of the table, and leans on it. Are we going to talk? Or are we going to fight?
The maid will give a gasp, then, like, Green will just silence her. Then he'll say, "We're going to talk.
For now.
For now. Perhaps in the near future," as he'll sit back. "But before that, I have a present for you."
As do I, rotating the head on its spinal column and then flips it forward, leans back in the chair.
As he will get up and slowly walk towards it, and then he'll just grab the head and look at it straight in its dead eyes, now just completely bloodshot and maybe a little bit bloated as the gases of decay have already been accelerated by whatever the hell is inside of him, and he'll just smile and go, "Ah, alas, poor, poor Jedrej.
I
I
knew
had
him better
heard
than you, Horatio.
I had heard stories about the servants of you dead ones and their phenomenal willpower, but in the end,
I
sickness will
was
make
young.
sickness makes cowards of us all." As you
Nora
will
just
just
nods.
bring the head over and just set it like right next to him, sort of like a table ornament almost. As you will say, "Now it's my turn to give you a present. Matilda, if you would be so kind," and she will again just still like now completely pale, like eyes wide as discs, just staring at the severed head, trembling. But then Dr. Green will give her a look and she'll immediately like snap to and rush over and she will remove the cover and it's a painting just like you originally said, but it's well, it's a painting of you and Joanna, but Joanna has been drawn as you once knew her to be as a child. A family painting that was never made. You can tell from even at a distance that this is probably something that was done within the past couple of nights, but a perfect picture of a mother and daughter at a family painting.
Nora doesn't really react to it. She looks at it less as a family portrait. She appreciates the artistry that's gone into recreating her face and her posture. But the person standing next to her, she almost looks at them unrecognizingly. Yes, she was a mother once. Yes, she cared once, but that that was burned. That was burned a long time ago. That's something that's beyond what she is now. It's existential. And she just sort of cocks her head to one side and goes, "Huh. Is my Cupid's bow really that large? I haven't seen it for a while."
So he'll sort of
Hmm.
raise an eyebrow, and he is a bit surprised at this, as he was not expecting you to react in that way, and he'll say, You certainly have changed since the last time we've met."
It's a long time ago. Ah,
Hmm.
in
But
seconds.
perhaps this can be a fresh start then, as he'll just hold up his hands.
A fresh start. Nora taps the table for a while, and can see just that sucking inwards of her lips against her teeth, where she just sort of thinks, I'm interested. Let's see. And just gives that look, okay. A fresh start. Amuse me.
As he will just hold up his hands, getting up, as you will say, "You want Hillingham Estate? I want Hillingham Estate. You are no mere human, and as you have undoubtedly guessed by now, I am no mere human. There is no reason why we cannot come to a mutual understanding. Before, you see, I must admit, I wanted revenge. I wanted revenge against the mother who never had me, the one who had the entire world and yet she squandered it. I wanted my birthright. And you were a threat because you wanted her. I didn't know what at first, but as you can tell, I was able to piece things together. I will give you credit. You certainly do know how to cover your tracks, but it was nothing that a really determined individual couldn't piece together with enough resources and a bit of help here and there.
By slaughter May.
Oh, them? Oh, no, not at all. Although, they were the ones who, shall we say, gave away that you were not, well, a normal human anymore. One of them
Gave it
tried
away.
to
I
do
would
that.
not have expected them to risk our kind like that.
Oh, oh no, they didn't, you see. They went into the deal thinking, well, as much as you did, that I would easily bend the knee before, shall we say, I'm not exactly sure how it works. It's a sort of command, eye contact. You're able to create or activate the sense of the brain that controls motor control and are able to basically take control of a person's mind for a little bit. It didn't quite work so well on me, but it was fascinating to find out about that little trick.
I see.
Yes,
Where do we go from here, Mr. Green?
that is entirely up to you, Zima.
No, it's entirely up to us.
Mm. As he will sit down, as he will say, the deal Slaughter and May's had will work. I have no interest in you, you have no interest in me. This would purely be a marriage of convenience. We were both able to utilize the occult significance of this establishment. You're able to gain the property rights so long as all business transactions are run joint, and as long as, shall we say, we both agree a certain level of privacy into each other's interactions, this should be able to work out quite nicely.
You have got it all figured out, don't you? Quite the clever cookie.
No, not everything, not everything. Despite, oh gosh, what I would give for some of your blood. I know you're not human, but there's something about you. Oh gosh, what I would give to have that under the microscope as he just looks at you, and there is a hunger there, but it's not a hunger for feeding, it's a hunger for knowledge, one that you are intimately familiar with yourself. This is a thirst to know.
Explain to me what you did to my retainer.
Oh, that? Oh, you
Yes.
see, how much are you familiar with the spiritual movement that graced our nations a couple generations ago?
Pretend I'm innocent as a newborn babe and explain it in your own words.
Well, Zima, this world comes in two packages. The physical world, which is what we interact with, is you'll just sort of hold up Jedrish's head, and a spiritual world, a plane of existence where ideas have form and substance. Both exist alongside one another, and those with the ambition, the method, are able to tap into this place. For instance, did you know that disease has an imprint on that spiritual plane? And that if you can manipulate the disease on that level, you can make it do things that it normally wouldn't do according to the laws of physics. You can bend it, change it. It is amazing to glimpse beyond the veil and see a higher plane of existence.
Nora's going to go off into La La Land at this point because her mind has just gone to the kindred condition. Kindred condition is a virus. The whole smoke in the blood is obviously a metaphysical something off in a different plane that we can't view. That's why it can't be viewed. But, oh my god! But try to keep it together and go, most interesting.
Mm.
What is your particular interest in Hillingham Estate?
We are joint in this. If you share yours, then I'll share mine. Quid pro quo, as it were.
Ah, the old game. See, the problem with quid pro quo is that you never know who is lying to serve their own means. One thing I do want to know, are you truly my grandchild?
As he will sort of grimace at that, but he will nod and he'll say, I am. And
Then why? Go on.
I have spent my entire life to become truly what you were born into. I was given up at birth by Joanna, sweet, sweet mother. She didn't think that she would make a good parent. She feared perhaps that she would gather some bad habits, so she put her faith into the system. Find a family that could never have a child, give them the mother and father they always wanted. Well, the system's not perfect. And
Blood calls to blood, my dear.
I grew up with nothing and had to bleed to get everything that I have now. And now I
Good.
am on the cusp of victory. So, will you share in that victory with me, Zima?
Share in your victory.
Why, yes.
Be the ribbon to your medal. You don't know me at all. Good God, no.
Hmm. So raise an eyebrow at that. See. Then what about you? What brings you back to London when you've been gone for so long, it seems?
I'm not even sure anymore.
Well, that is dangerous indeed. When you're lost, that attracts some unwanted attention.
Possibly so. Answer me this. Do you require this piece of property to remain upright and standing for whatever nefarious plans you have?
Nefarious? My good lady, I am a doctor, as he will just sort of put his hand upon Jedrish's head.
And Nora gives Dr. Green the smile of don't play me for a fool.
It is a shallow joke indeed, but he took immense pleasure in it, as he will say, rest assured, I am a seeker of knowledge. As you are, I've come to understand, thanks to our dear friend here, as he'll pat Jedrej's severed head.
Yes, a loose end that I've let loose far too long. Thank you for showing me that.
Oh, it is not at all a problem. One needs to learn when to cut off the limb before it becomes infected.
Rather, who do you work with?
Ah, now that, unfortunately, I cannot share with you.
Quid
My
pro quo.
organization is, well, as a
Come,
secret as
come now.
yours.
Come now, husband. Surely we can play together once in a while.
Hmm, let us say we will call this time the dating period. If this works out, I'll show you more. Perhaps you would have a place at our table. After all, you would be quite the addition indeed.
Nora's had just about enough of this arsehole. So she's going to sit back in her chair and with a cocky grin just go, do you even know who the fuck you're talking to?
As he'll just sort of look to the painting and then look to you and he'll say, know what? Not quite sure anymore. But I
Good.
do know that you are, by law, the true inheritor of this house. And nothing I
Exactly.
can do can really change that. However, I'm quite certain you don't want to get let out that a woman of your age and nonetheless good looks is still kicking around London for the mortal populace, though.
The mortal populace can kiss my ass. I give none of the fucks for them. What I care about. She just stops herself before she growls anything more. But she has well and truly had enough of this fucking bullshit. But she'll just sort of stop herself and. In any case, Dr. Green, I don't even know your first name.
It's Walter.
Walter. Good name. Answer me one thing, further. Or why the French kiss? Edifice?
What are you talking about?
Someone, pointing at Jedrej, saw you kiss Joanna.
As he'll just sort of scowl and then he will say, no, that wasn't me. And it wasn't her nurse either. I don't know who it was. I thought it was one of yours at first. But
Interesting.
after how miraculously that individual did what they did, it's not one of yours and not one of mine. I don't know
So we have
who
a third party.
individual is. But yes, sweet mother is no longer within my sphere of control, as you'll say that through gritted teeth.
Then I suppose we can begin this bargain with a mutual interest. We bring her back here, and then we shall see.
That would be delightful, as you'll say that
Rather,
sinisterly returning.
rather. So we begin this bargain. No more personal information about each other. Nothing further, other than bringing Joanna back to Hillingham Estate. And then I suppose we'll flick a coin as to who goes first. Is this agreeable?
As he'll smile and go, it is. Thank you for the lovely gift. I think I'll keep it.
Nora just flicks her hair. Did you have that commissioned?
Izuko? Well, yes, yes, I did. Oh, although I
Why?
do have one hint. Consider this a sign of our prenuptials, as it were. My fellows found this, just placed neatly on her bed when we went to check up on her. You can understand when we found your, well, your former goon trying to escape, we did think that it was your doing, but does this mean anything to you? And he will sort of snap her fingers, and the maid will, who has been sort of like just staring at the ground, like trying not to hear anything that she's been hearing all of this time, with a sort of almost dead look upon her face herself, just sort of snaps to and then hurries off and fetches something and comes back with a metal case. But when she opens it, it's just a single thing on the inside. One single, completely burned all the way through match. Does
Nora
this mean
just looks
anything
at
to
it.
you?
Nora takes a glove out of her bag, puts it on, gets a wee plastic case, and then takes the match. Maybe. I'll keep you updated. Puts it in a handbag.
I figured it would be some sort of message from the perpetrator, but it certainly was not aimed at me. This is good. I think this is the start of a beautiful relationship.
Last person who said that also threatened to burn me.
Quite odd indeed.
Ha! Dr. Green, I don't like you. We will never be friends. Work with that.
As Heel smiles, that's such a shame. I've actually got somewhat of a soft spot for you.
Bury it deep. And Nora turns
As he'll
and
just sort
begins to
of
walk away.
straighten his suit and say, Zima, as I said before, I'm a doctor. I am a professional.
Doesn't say anything further, keeps walking.
As you begin walking, he'll just, you don't say it, but he smirks and says, have a good night, grandmother.
Waiting until I get to the corridor and then breaking into probably the most feral fucking scowl possible before going back to the car. Putting on some Chopin, calming down, and then going to indulge my beast because I'm ready to kill bitches right now, and it's better out than in, to be quite honest with you.
Indeed, and if that is all for Nora Hillingham, this is where we will call our scene. Thank you all for
Indeed.
watching, and have a lovely night.